Have you ever laid in bed at 2 a.m., staring at the ceiling, replaying the same damn conversation over and over like it's a movie you can't turn off? Yeah, that's you. Overthinking. Again. You tell yourself you're being careful. You say you're analyzing. You pretend you're planning. But let's be honest. You're scared. You don't overthink because you're smart. You overthink because you're afraid to move. Every day you wake up and your brain is already running. What if I fail? What if they judge me? What if I'm not ready? What if I'm not good enough? And while you're stuck inside your head, the world keeps moving. People who are less talented than you, they're winning. People who are less prepared than you, they're taking action. People who are just as confused as you, they're moving anyway. And you're still thinking. You scroll your phone for hours. You watch motivational videos. You plan your big comeback. You write goals in your notes app, but you don't move. Because movement is risky. Thinking is safe. Overthinking feels productive. It gives you the illusion of control. It makes you feel like you're doing something. But you're not. You're hiding. You're hiding from rejection. You're hiding from embarrassment. You're hiding from the possibility that you might actually try and fail. Wake the hell up. Nobody is coming to rescue you from your own mind. Not your friends, not your parents, not some perfect opportunity, not some magical moment where you suddenly feel confident. Confidence doesn't come before action. It comes because of action. But overthinkers don't act. They rehearse. You rehearse conversations you'll never have. You imagine scenarios that will never happen. You fight battles in your head that don't even exist. And by the time real life shows up, you're already exhausted. Let me tell you something brutal. The problem isn't that you think too much. The problem is that you don't trust yourself. You don't trust that you can handle rejection. You don't trust that you can survive failure. You don't trust that if things go wrong, you'll adapt. So you try to solve everything in advance. You want guarantees. You want certainty. You want to know exactly how it ends before you even begin. But life doesn't work like that. No one who built something meaningful had clarity at the start. They had doubt. They had fear. They had confusion. The difference? They moved anyway. You're waiting for the fear to disappear. It won't. You're waiting to feel ready. You won't. You're waiting for the overthinking to stop. It won't. Your mind will always try to protect you. It will always search for danger. It will always imagine worst-case scenarios. That's what it does. But here's the truth you don't want to hear. Overthinking is just procrastination in a smarter outfit. It sounds intelligent. It feels responsible. But it kills momentum. Every hour you spend overanalyzing is an hour you could have spent building. Every day you hesitate is a day someone else gets stronger. You say you want to change your life, but you can't even send the message. You can't even start the project. You can't even go to the damn gym consistently. Because what if you look stupid? Let me ask you something. What's worse, looking stupid for trying, or staying exactly where you are for the next 5 years? Be honest. You're not tired of overthinking. You're tired of being stuck. And being stuck hurts more than failure ever will. But staying stuck feels familiar, comfortable, predictable. And that comfort zone, it's slowly suffocating you. You feel it, don't you? That quiet frustration, that subtle anger at yourself, that voice in the back of your head whispering, you could be more. But instead of listening to it, you open another app, you watch another video, you distract yourself again. Because distraction is easier than decision. And that's where this starts. Right here. Because if you don't learn how to control your mind will control your entire life. And right now, it already is. You know what's crazy? You don't even realize how much your own thoughts are bullying you. Nobody is talking to you the way you talk to yourself. You're not ready. You're behind. You're not talented enough. Someone else can do it better. You say those things quietly, so quietly that you don't even question them anymore. They've become facts in your head. But they're not facts. They're fear. And fear is loud. It shows up when you're about to post something, when you're about to start a business, when you're about to approach someone you like, when you're about to change your routine. It whispers, "Wait, think about it more." And you listen. You call it being careful. You call it being realistic. But let's strip it down. You're addicted to control. You think if you analyze every angle, every outcome, every possible disaster, you'll somehow avoid pain. You won't. Pain is part of the deal. Embarrassment, part of the deal. Rejection, part of the deal. Looking like a beginner, definitely part of the deal. But overthinkers want to skip that phase. You want to go from zero to confident without ever feeling uncomfortable. That's not growth. That's fantasy. Look at your life right now. How many ideas died in your head? How many opportunities did you overanalyze until they expired? How many times did you say, "I'll start next week"? Next week turned into next month. Next month turned into next year. And suddenly you're older. Same fears, same habits, same excuses. But now you've got regret on top of it. Here's something most people won't tell you. Overthinking feels safe because it protects your identity. If you never try, you never fail. And if you never fail, you can keep telling yourself, "I could have done it." That lie feels good. I could have started that business. I could have gotten in shape. I could have changed my life. But you didn't. And deep down, that hurts more than failure ever would. Because failure teaches you something. Stagnation teaches you nothing. You don't grow from thinking. You grow from friction. You grow from doing something messy, from sending the imperfect message, from starting when you don't feel ready, from walking into the gym when you feel insecure, from applying even when you doubt yourself. Action builds proof. Proof builds confidence. Confidence quiets overthinking. But you're trying to reverse the order. You want confidence first. That's not how it works. You earn it. Through repetition, through discomfort, through showing up when your brain says, "Stay home." Let's talk about your comfort zone. It feels warm, right? Scrolling feels easy. Planning feels productive. Researching feels smart. But none of that changes your life. It just numbs you. You tell yourself you're preparing. But preparation without execution is just sophisticated avoidance. Wake up. Nobody is coming to fix your discipline. Nobody is coming to manage your thoughts. Nobody is going to grab you by the shoulders and force you to step up. You either do it or you don't. That's it. And here's the uncomfortable truth. The longer you stay in your head, the weaker your ability to act becomes. Because inaction becomes a habit. Hesitation becomes your personality. You start saying things like, "I'm just an overthinker." No, that's not your personality. That's a pattern. And patterns can be broken. But they don't break by thinking about breaking them. They break through interruption. You need to interrupt yourself. The next time your brain says, "Wait, what if?" move. Immediately. Before your mind builds a full courtroom drama with 50 fake scenarios. Send the message. Hit publish. Make the call. Start the workout. Do it scared. Because courage isn't the absence of fear. It's movement in spite of it. Right now, your mind feels like a cage, and you built it, brick
by brick, with doubts, with hesitation, with worst-case scenarios. But here's the part that should hit you hard. If you built it, you can dismantle it. Not by sitting there thinking about it, but by taking one uncomfortable step at a time. And trust me, the first step is the hardest, but it's also the one that changes everything.
Let me tell you what really happens when you finally take that first step. It's not dramatic. There's no music, no applause, no sudden burst of confidence. It's awkward. You feel exposed. Your heart beats faster. Your hands might even shake a little. And your brain? It screams. See, this is why we don't do this. This feels uncomfortable. This could go wrong. But something else happens too. You survive. Nothing explodes. The world doesn't collapse. People aren't watching you as much as you thought. That's when the illusion starts to crack. Because overthinking feeds on imagination. Action feeds on reality. When you stay in your head, everything feels bigger than it is. Rejection feels catastrophic. Failure feels permanent. Judgment feels universal. But in real life, most people are too busy worrying about themselves. They're not studying you. They're not analyzing your every move. They're not waiting for you to fail. That spotlight you feel? It's in your head. And here's something brutal. You've wasted years trying to avoid looking stupid. But you looked stupid anyway. Because doing nothing while you talk about potential is the real embarrassment. You say you want more money, more respect, more confidence, more freedom. But wanting doesn't change anything. Discomfort does. Look at your daily routine. Wake up, phone, scroll, compare, doubt, delay. It's automatic. Your thumb moves without permission. Your mind jumps into comparison mode without warning. You see someone winning, and instead of feeling inspired, you shrink. You think, they're ahead, I'm late, I should have started earlier. That thought alone kills momentum. Because now you're not just overthinking the future, you're overthinking the past. You replay mistakes from years ago, conversations you wish you handled differently, opportunities you missed. You torture yourself with what-ifs. But here's the truth you need to swallow. You cannot rewrite yesterday. You could only act today. And every minute you spend mentally arguing with the past is a minute stolen from your future. Wake the hell up. This isn't about becoming fearless. It's about becoming decisive. Fear might never leave, but hesitation can. Right now, your life is being shaped by micro decisions, not huge, dramatic moments, small ones. Do I get up now or snooze? Do I work out or skip? Do I start or overthink again? Do I speak up or stay quiet? These tiny choices compound. And here's the scary part. So does inaction. If you choose comfort today, comfort becomes easier tomorrow. If you choose delay today, delay becomes your default. If you choose distraction today, distraction becomes your identity. You don't wake up one day stuck. You build stuck, one safe decision at a time. And the longer you stay in that loop, the harder it becomes to break. Because now it's not just fear, it's habit. And habits feel like who you are. I'm just not disciplined. I'm just not confident. I'm just an overthinker. No, you're practiced at inaction, and anything practiced can be reversed. But here's where most people quit. They take one step. It feels uncomfortable. They don't see instant results, and they go right back to their comfort zone. You have to understand something. Transformation is boring. It's repetitive. It's unglamorous. It's showing up when nobody claps. It's doing the work when your brain says, "What's the point?" That's where mental strength is built, not in hype, in consistency. The person you want to become, he's not waiting for motivation. He's built on discipline. And discipline isn't loud. It's quiet decisions made daily. Right now, you're standing at a line. On one side is the life you keep imagining.
On the other side is the life you keep repeating. And the only thing separating them is action. Not perfect plans, not perfect timing, not perfect confidence. Action. You don't need to eliminate overthinking. You need to outmove it. Because once you move consistently enough, your mind starts to trust you. And when your mind trusts you, the noise gets quieter. But you have to prove to yourself that you're someone who acts, not someone who waits.
Here's the part nobody wants to admit. You're not tired because life is hard. You're tired because you're fighting battles that don't exist. You wake up already drained, not from effort, from thinking. You argue with imaginary critics. You defend yourself in conversations that never happened. You prepare speeches you'll never give. And by the time real opportunity shows up, you're mentally exhausted. That's the trap. Overthinking steals energy from the future and burns it on fiction. You keep telling yourself you need more clarity, but clarity doesn't come from sitting still. It comes from movement. Think about every time you hesitated, before you started the workout, before you hit post, before you applied, before you said how you really felt. Your mind created 10 worst-case scenarios, but when you finally acted, it was never as bad as you imagined. Maybe it was uncomfortable, maybe it was awkward, but it was survivable. And survival builds evidence. Evidence builds self-trust. Right now, you don't trust yourself because you haven't proven anything to yourself. You break promises to yourself daily. I'll wake up early. You snooze. I'll start today. You delay. I'll stop wasting time. You scroll. Every broken promise chips away at your confidence. And then you wonder why you doubt yourself. Why would your mind trust someone who keeps quitting? That's the brutal truth. Self-confidence isn't built by positive affirmations. It's built by keeping your word, even when it's small, especially when it's small. You want to feel powerful? Start by doing what you said you would do. Not tomorrow, today. Because every time you follow through, you send a message to your brain, I act. And the more you repeat that, the less room overthinking has to breathe. But here's where it gets deeper. Overthinking isn't just about fear of failure. It's fear of responsibility. If you truly commit, there's no excuse left. If you go all in, you can't hide behind I didn't really try. That's scary. Because trying means risking your ego, and your ego loves safety. It loves being able to say, I could have done it. But once you try fully, there's no safety net. It's real, and real is uncomfortable. But real is also where growth lives. You keep waiting for some external push, some life-changing moment, some rock bottom. But what if this is it? What if this quiet dissatisfaction you feel every night is your wake-up call? That feeling when you put your phone down and think, I should be doing more. That's not guilt, that's awareness. And awareness is dangerous. Because once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. You see how many hours you waste. You see how often you hesitate. You see how much potential you're sitting on. Now you have a choice. Go back to sleep mentally or wake up. Waking up doesn't mean becoming perfect overnight. It means choosing discomfort on purpose. It means acting before you feel ready. It means cutting the negotiation with your lazy thoughts. Your brain will try to bargain. Start tomorrow. Wait until you feel better. Do more research. Think about it one more time. No, that voice has been running your life long enough. And where has it gotten you? Same place, different day. You don't need another plan. You need a decision. A decision that you are done being controlled by hesitation. A decision that even if you're scared, you move. Even if you're unsure, you move. Even if you might fail, you move. Because movement builds momentum, and momentum is addictive. Once you feel it, you don't want to stop. But you have to earn it through action, not thought. You're closer than you think, not because you've planned enough, but because you're finally starting to realize the truth. Your biggest enemy isn't lack of opportunity. It's the voice in your head convincing you to wait. Let's get even more honest. You don't hate overthinking. You hate what it's costing you. It's costing you time, energy, opportunities, respect for yourself. And time is the one thing you don't get back. You can make more money, you can build more skill, you can rebuild your body, but you cannot rewind years spent hesitating. Look at the last 12 months of your life. How many times did you say, "This is the year"? How many times did you feel fired up for a week, then slowly drift back into comfort? It didn't happen in one dramatic collapse. It happened quietly. One skipped workout, one postponed idea, one "I'll do it later." Later is the most dangerous word in your vocabulary. Later is where dreams go to die. You keep assuming you have time, but time doesn't ask for your permission to pass. It just moves. And if you don't move with it, you get left behind. That's why overthinking feels so heavy, because deep down, you know you're capable of more. You feel it when you see someone who started from nothing. You feel it when you watch someone transform their body, their mindset, their life. You think, if they can do it, why am I still here? And that question hurts. So instead of answering it, you distract yourself. Phone, food, entertainment, anything to avoid confronting that gap between who you are and who you could be. But that gap doesn't close by accident. It closes through friction, through repetition, through showing up when you don't feel like it. You think mentally strong people don't overthink. They do. The difference? They don't obey every thought. They treat thoughts like noise, not commands. Right now, you treat every negative thought like it's a law. If I feel scared, I shouldn't do it. If I doubt myself, it's a sign to stop. If I'm uncomfortable, something is wrong. No. Uncomfortable means you're growing. Scared means you care. Doubt means you're stepping outside your old identity. And that old identity is fighting to survive. Because the moment you change your behavior, you threaten who you've been. You've been the overthinker, the cautious one, the one who needs more time, the one who isn't ready yet. But what if that's just a story you've repeated long enough to believe? What if you're not an overthinker? You're just undisciplined with your attention. Think about that. Your mind runs wild because you let it. You never trained it. You train your body at the gym. You train skills for work. But your thoughts? You let them dominate you. And then you wonder why you feel powerless. Mental strength isn't about having fewer thoughts. It's about choosing which ones to follow. Right now, you follow fear. You follow comfort. You follow delay. Imagine if you flipped that. Imagine if every time your brain said, "Wait," you said, "Move." Every time it said, "What if you fail?" you said, "What if I grow?" That shift alone changes everything. Not instantly, but consistently. And consistency beats intensity every time. You don't need one big heroic moment. You need daily defiance against your old patterns. Small rebellions. Getting up when you don't want to. Starting before you feel ready. Finishing what you begin. That's how identity changes. Not by thinking about becoming stronger, but by acting stronger. And the more you act differently, the more your brain rewires. The more your self-image shifts. Until one day you look back and realize you're not the same person who was stuck in his head. But there's one final truth you need to face. And it might sting. You are not overwhelmed by life. You are overwhelmed by indecision. And indecision is a choice. A slow one. A quiet one. But still a choice.
So here it is. The truth you've been avoiding. Your life isn't stuck because of your past. It's stuck because of your patterns. And patterns don't break with motivation. They break with decision. Right now, you're one decision away from a different direction. Not a perfect life, not instant success, a different direction. That's it. You keep thinking transformation has to feel dramatic. It doesn't. It feels like discipline. It feels like doing the boring thing when no one is watching. It feels like getting up when you want to scroll. It feels like starting when your brain says wait. You've been waiting for clarity, but clarity comes after movement. You've been waiting to feel confident, but confidence is earned through repetition. You've been waiting for fear to disappear, but fear is a passenger. It's not the driver. The problem is you handed fear the keys, and now you're sitting in the passenger seat of your own life. Wake the hell up. Nobody is coming to take control for you. Not your friends, not some perfect mentor, not a lucky break. You either grab the wheel or you keep drifting. And drifting feels harmless at first. One day doesn't matter. 1 week doesn't matter. 1 year suddenly matters a lot. Because time compounds, just like effort, just like neglect. 5 years from now, you will either thank yourself or you will hate the fact that you kept hesitating. There is no neutral outcome. You're either building strength or reinforcing weakness every single day. Let's strip this down to something simple. You overthink because you're trying to protect yourself from pain. But the pain of discipline is temporary. The pain of regret is permanent. Discipline hurts in the moment. Regret hurts for years. Pick your pain. You want to become mentally stronger? Stop negotiating with your lower self. The voice that says later. The voice that says it's too hard. The voice that says you're not ready. That voice isn't wisdom. It's comfort disguised as logic. And comfort has kept you average. Average effort, average discipline, average results. But you're not average in potential. You just live average in action. And potential means nothing without execution. You can read all the books, watch all the videos, plan all the strategies. If you don't move, nothing changes. Let this sink in. The version of you that you admire is built from decisions you're avoiding right now. He wakes up when it's uncomfortable. He acts when it's uncertain. He keeps going when it's boring. He doesn't overthink less. He just obeys his thoughts less. That's the shift. You don't need to silence your mind. You need to stop worshiping it. Thoughts are suggestions. Action is power. And the more you act, the quieter the noise becomes. Not because fear disappears, but because you've proven you can handle it. That's what confidence really is. Proof. Proof that you can survive discomfort, proof that you can recover from mistakes, proof that you can keep your word. Right now you have 2 options. Close this and go back to your usual cycle, or stand up, literally stand up, and do one thing you've been postponing. Send the message, start the workout, outline the idea, delete the distraction. Do something. Not tomorrow, now. Because this moment, this is the turning point. Not when you feel ready, not when the fear disappears, but when you decide that staying the same is no longer acceptable. You don't need permission, you need courage. And courage isn't loud. It's a quiet decision that says, I'm done wasting my life. Make that decision and then back it up with action every single day. That's how you stop overthinking. That's how you wake up. That's how you take control. And that's how you become someone your future self will respect.